Breaking news right now, a mother and daughter are in the hospital recovering after a domestic violence shooting in Airway Heights. Our Nicole Hernandez is there now with the very latest on this investigation. Nicole, tell us what you've learned.
Yeah, Tim, so just in the past few minutes, we've had the command post and the emergency management team come and show up to this spot here near Aspen and 10th. They are planning to get going on this investigation, figure out exactly what happened, but we did just get an update from Airway Heights Police Department. You can see that that trailer they're pulling in, that's going to be their command post for throughout the rest of the investigation. But this all started at 3:50 this morning here with, like Tim mentioned, a domestic violence incident. Two women were shot. A man named Zion J. Carter shot a mother and a daughter. This was a domestic situation. They don't know how the three of them are exactly related, but they do know that they all live together. It was an isolated incident, but police are still looking for that shooter. Like I mentioned, Zion J. Carter. He's a 38-year-old black male. He is 6'7", 250 pounds, with long hair and dreadlocks. Police say if you see this man, call 911. He fled in a silver 2018 Nissan Rogue. So if you see anyone under that description, call 911. Let police know. Do not engage with that person. They are considering him armed and dangerous at this point. The woman and her daughter are now in the hospital. They don't know the extent of their injuries at this point, but of course this investigation is just getting underway here this morning. More officers are showing up. Right now we have a combination of Airway Heights Police Department, the Spokane County Sheriff's Office, and Kalispell Tribe Police all working on this investigation. As they go through this, of course, and we get updates throughout the morning, we'll make sure to keep you updated. Live in Airway Heights, I'm Nicole Hernandez.
Nicole, before we let you go, I kind of want to ask you, tell us about the area. Are the roads closed off to any major roads right now?
It doesn't look like there are two major of roads right now. 10th and Aspen is the intersection that's completely closed off. It's mainly a residential area with a little bit of a park behind it. But the biggest road here is still open, so it might be minor impact to traffic this morning for people living in this specific neighborhood, but nothing huge traffic-wise. And then one more question, Nicole. You know, we hear shelter in place. What does that exactly mean? You know, does that mean that, you really need to stay in place, and how will people know when they can actually leave? Yeah, so at this point, that shelter in place is still in place right now. So that means just stay in your house. You know, if you can avoid this area, please do avoid this area. That is, of course, because they have that suspect that they are considering armed and dangerous still out and about on the loose. So if you can stay inside, do. If you have to leave, just avoid the area. Get out of this area as quickly as possible. Nicole Hernandez gathering details for us this morning. We'll continue to bring you live updates over on the CW22. Another hour of Up with KREM on that channel. All right, more breaking news. An update out of Tokyo. Team USA took silver in the gymnastics team finals after Biles made a sudden exit from the competition. Initial reports stated that Biles had been injured, but USA Gymnastics just released a statement saying that she has withdrawn from the team final due to a medical issue. Now, the statement goes on to say that she will be assessed daily to determine medical clearance for future competitions. And early this morning, Biles left the competition floor with the team doctor after she landed her vault. The Americans will be forced to finish the rest of the competition without her, and we do not know the extent of that medical issue. So Russia took gold at the end of the competition. The gymnastics will compete individually later this week. No word yet on if Biles will compete then. So we, of course, will continue to keep you updated on this all morning long here on Up with KREM. At 6:33, let's see the weather now with Thomas.
Yeah, Tim, this is going to be yet another pretty hot day. A little bit of cloud cover might take the edge off of the heat overall as we're looking at just low 90s for today. Clear skies over North Idaho, clear skies over Spokane as well, as some of the cloud cover has actually cleared out within the last hour. Not to say that that will be the case all day long. A few cool spots across the region, including Pullman, St. Mary's, Coeur d'Alene, Sandpoint, all in the 50s as of right now. That contrasted with Lewiston and Omak, usually some some of the warm spots in the low 70s at this moment. Of course, warming up quite quickly. Should be around the mid 80s by the noon hour today, about 90 degrees for this afternoon. Our computer model is actually a little aggressive in terms of cloud cover this afternoon, so I think we can actually add maybe 1 or 2 degrees to these because I think that sunshine is going to shine through some of that cloud cover. The haze shouldn't be too much of a problem for today. Just some of the intense wildfires obviously creating their own localized impacts in Okanagan and Ferry County for today, but overall going to be tracking some much warmer temperatures closing in on 100 degrees before we finish out the month of July. Your complete forecast is coming up in a few minutes.
Taking a live look at the U.S. Capitol this morning, the congressional investigation into the January 6th attack on Capitol Hill is getting underway right now, and it's happening, so let's take a listen in.
200 years ago, in 1801, the House of Representatives did one of its jobs laid out in the Constitution. After a deadlock in the Electoral College, this body cast 36 ballots and ultimately settled the contest for President of the United States. What followed was the first peaceful transfer of power in our country's history. We know that since then, our history has been far from perfect. We've been torn apart and brought back together. We've struggled across generations to make our country's great vision a reality for all Americans. We won victories and we've suffered failures. But the peaceful transfer of power has stood as the pillar of our democracy. It's one of those things.
So you are listening in to a congressional investigation into the January 6th attack on Capitol Hill right now. We will be hearing from witnesses, including 4 police officers who were on duty on the Capitol on January 6th. They're expected to testify about their efforts to maintain order while Congress certified the results of the 2020 presidential election. The investigation is expected to take several months to complete, and we, of course, will continue to listen and follow this story throughout the morning. Today, President Biden is nominating 8 new leaders for U.S. attorney positions across the country, including 2 of the historic candidates for Washington State's U.S. attorney positions. Let's talk about the nominees. This is Vanessa Waldriff of Spokane. She's nominated for the Eastern District and would be the first female U.S. attorney. She has previously worked as a prosecutor in the U.S. Attorney's Office and now is a Justice Department environmental lawyer. For the west side of the state, the nominee is Nicholas Brown. He has been a federal prosecutor and general counsel to the governor. He would be the first black lawyer to run the Western District of Washington, which includes Seattle. The White House says all 8 nominees were chosen for their devotion to enforcing the law, their professionalism, their experience and credentials in this field, their dedication to pursuing equal justice for all, and their commitment to the independence of the Justice Department. Now, let's talk about what the nominees will be doing. The White House is still looking to fill key positions in the Justice Department. Last week, the White House announced the nomination of a lawyer to run its antitrust division. They also withdrew its nominee for the civil division head, and they have not nominated anyone for the Solicitor General role. And they are looking for attorneys to lead the U.S. Capitol insurrection. U.S. attorneys serve at the president's pleasure, which is an official way of saying that the president can let them go at any point. The Justice Department says in February it was asking most of the U.S. attorneys appointed during President Donald Trump's administration to resign. It is time for your morning rush. More news in less time. Republican members of Congress, including Congresswoman Kathy McMorris Rodgers, are seeking records on possible U.S. funding of research at a Chinese lab before the pandemic.
Would providing the records strip away the politics?
Absolutely. Transparency is the key. We need to have answers. We need to know the origins of COVID-19 so that we can protect ourselves moving forward and that this doesn't happen again.
Some claim the funding had a role in the origins of COVID-19. That theory is very much in dispute. The National Institutes of Health confirmed money did not go to a Wuhan lab, but emphasized their application, quote, did not propose research to enhance any coronavirus to be more transmissible. The Department of Veterans Affairs is requiring healthcare workers to get COVID-19 vaccines. They are the first major federal agencies requiring the vaccine, but health officials fully expect it will not be the last. At the VA, vaccines will now be mandatory for certain medical personnel, including physicians, dentists, optometrists, registered nurses, physician assistants, and many others who work in departmental facilities or provide direct care to veterans. Employees will have 8 weeks to get vaccinated. A new tool will be available to help firefighters. It's being developed right here in the Pacific Northwest at a national laboratory. It uses satellite images analyzed by artificial intelligence to get a closer and more accurate aerial view.
Where the current fire is, where the boundaries of the fire hotspots, and really what that enables is wildland fire fighting teams to understand exactly where the fire is, and be able to allocate and deploy resources more efficiently.
The new tool is already being used in the real world, though it's under development. That's your Morning Rush. More news in less time. Let us know what's happening in your neighborhood by using the hashtag #UpWithKREM on social media. Well, Mariners fans, it might be time to get our hopes up. Well, the Mariners had a huge win last night. We will talk about it in just a couple of minutes.
And temperatures are set to be hot all week long and could potentially hit 100 degrees before the end of the month in what is going to be a record-setting July. Your complete extended forecast is coming up next.